Time passed, and my final year in secondary school arrived. I had just finished my final examinations when, one afternoon, Mr. Alex stopped me at the gate. He pleaded with me to listen, promising that they had planned a dinner to formally apologize for the past and make amends. I was skeptical at first, but his persistence and assurances of change eventually wore me down. Against my better judgment, I agreed. As soon as I got there the second day, they both went on their knees and asked for my forgiveness. This display by both perpetrators made me feel they were truly repentant. So, I felt relaxed and told them that I had forgiven them, but I would need time to forget that. We all chatted about various topics from politics to education, and they offered me something to drink. The juice was poured into disposable cups and we all drank. Not long after, I took the drink, began to feel drowsy, and realized I had been drugged. Again, Mr. Sammy and Mr. Alex took turns raping me through the front and the back. I did not know how long it took or how many rounds they did because I passed out in the process. I later woke up with unbearable pains all over my body. I could not find any one of the perpetrators, and it was getting rather dark, so I struggled to stand up, managed to look for what to clean up with properly, and staggered out of the gate. I was lucky to find a bike that took me straight home. A little while later, my parents were not home yet, so I took a shower and went straight to bed. My mother came in some moments later and without uttering a word turned off the lights and went into her room. I turned over in pain, and kept pondering in my mind why I was born and if she was truly my mother or was I adopted. I became emotionally down and began to have nightmares, frequent flashbacks. I was traumatized. As shameful as this may sound, my absentee parents were in the dark and wouldn't be bothered. As painful as this event was, I told myself never to trust anyone again, so I kept my ordeal to myself and suffered in silence. I never went back to school again. But amidst the darkness, a small light emerged. I passed all my papers with flying colors. I was offered admission into a prestigious university. To my surprise, my mother was ecstatic, proud in a way I had never seen before. She opened up to me for the first time, sharing the painful story of her own life, how she had sacrificed so much, and how she hoped I would achieve the dreams she couldn't. We hugged and cried together, finally forgiving one another for the years of neglect and misunderstanding. Yet, I still couldn't bring myself to tell her everything, the past abuses, the brokenness I carried deep within. I thought silence was strength, but it wasn't. It only encouraged further pain. At university, I tried to move forward. I made friends and found a sense of normalcy, but the trauma lingered beneath the surface. It was during my third year that I met Peter, a final year architecture student who seemed perfect in every way. He was kind, fun-loving, and, like me, an only child. We became fond of each other, and to my amazement, he never asked me for sex even when I slept over in his room. I thought Peter was too good to be true, and I treaded cautiously based on my past experiences. The more I looked, the more perfect he was to me. After a year of courting, I agreed to visit his home to meet his parents. Unfortunately for me, his parents had an emergency and were out of the country the day we arrived. I had earlier spoken to Peter's mother and she looked forward to meeting me in person. I was so disappointed, but Peter assured me that I would still have a wonderful time. On the first day, we went to the cinema and a beach. It was a beautiful experience for me. The second day, Peter invited his bosom friend that I had heard a lot about. Paul was a jovial and loud person. He always wanted people to notice him easily. I wondered what the attraction was since Peter was a calm, cool, and calculated person. We went to a club the night Paul arrived, and we all drank alcohol until we were intoxicated. I told Peter I was tired, then he called his driver to take us back home. I was so high when we reached home, that I headed straight to Peter's room, threw myself on his bed, and dozed off. Suddenly, I saw Peter turn me backward, pulled off my clothes and pants, and started having anal sex with me. I tried to tell him this is rape and I don't do anal sex. He covered my mouth with his hand and excitedly roamed in and out of my anus. When he finished, Paul too came on me. I tried to resist, but I was too intoxicated, and he also raped me by having anal sex with me. My eyes were wide open, but I was too weak to speak or move. I watched both of them perform anal sex on one another. I could not do anything as I was too weak to act or speak. I then understood their bosom friendship. When they finished, they hugged, kissed, and slumped on the bed. I was disgusted by their actions and was waiting for the effects of the alcohol to lessen so I could leave, but I slept off instead. By the time I woke up, Paul had left for his place. Peter apologized that he couldn't tell me earlier that he was not straight. He told me to relax, that we would get married and he would do anything for me. He pleaded with me not to tell anyone. What have I gotten myself into? I muttered. This act triggered all the unpleasant memories, the pain, flashbacks, feelings of shame, and worthlessness I was trying to forget. I felt like committing suicide. To say the least, I was severely traumatized. I felt terrible as I packed my bags to leave. I called my mother and headed back home. I broke down into my mother's waiting arms when I got home. I explained everything to her in detail and even the past abuses. My mother threw herself on the ground and wept bitterly. We cried until we could not anymore. Today, I carry my mother's pain with me, but I also carry her resilience. I am a survivor, and I share this story not out of bitterness but out of hope that others will find the strength to speak out, to seek help, and to know that they are not alone.